The sun is a hammer. It beats down on the dry earth of this Pliocene afternoon, making the world into shades of ochre and brittle gold. For the small clan, a family of 21 Australopithecus
At last, they
afarensis,
collapse on the
the
grassy
day is a
bank.
slow rhythm of search and sound. They move through the tall grass not as masters, but as trespassers. Their existence a constant negotiation with a hostile world. An old female, her face a mask of deep lines, digs methodically with a broken stick, trying to burst from the unyielding ground. The young ones chase lizards into the shade of acacia trees. Their playful shrieks a dangerous currency in a landscape that values silence. The dominant male, taller and broader than the others, stands on a termite mound. He is not a king surveying his domain, but a watchman on a perilous wall. His gaze sweeps the horizon, his nostrils flaring, deciphering the day's news written on the wind. This is the essence of their survival. A skill honed over countless generations of early humans. His efficient, upright stance, their hallmark bipedalus, is not for conquest but for vigilance. It allows him a precious few extra inches of perspective over the sea of grass, a vantage from which to spot the flicker of a predator's ear or the telltale disturbance of a stalker. He sees the others, their dark, shady forms scattered, and a low grunt rumbles in his chest, a soft command to remain close. A young female presents the old one with a handful of berries, an act of communal care that is the very bedrock of their society. The old female accepts them with a nod, her worn teeth mashing the fruit slowly. They are a mosaic of small, interconnected lives, bound by a trust that has no words. Their world is one of sensory input: the smell of rain on the air, the taste of a ripe fig, the feel of a grooming hand, the sight of a familiar face. It is a form of anthropology written not in books, but in bone and instinct. Then, the wind shifts. It carries a new scent, thick and predatory, a smell of dust and dried blood that cuts through the familiar aroma of grass and earth. It is an odor that silences the insects and makes the air itself feel heavy. The watchman stiffens. His head snaps up, his lips peeling back from his teeth in a silent snarl. The change is instantaneous, a current of pure fear passing through the clan. The young ones abandon their games, scurrying to their mothers who pull them tight. The digging stops. Every eye turns to the male in the mound. His alarm call is not a roar but a hush, guttural bark that tears through the afternoon heat. It is a sound of absolute terror, a frantic command: flee. And the world erupts into motion. There is no plan, only instinct. They run. They crash through the brittle grass, their ungainly, two-legged gait eating up the ground. A mother stumbles, her infant clinging desperately to the fur on her back. Another male scoops the child up without breaking stride, passing it back to her as they surge forward. They are not running from a sound. They are running from a certainty. Out of the grass to their left, a muscular,
This spirit of resistance
tawny shape
and
explodes into
problem-solving
view.
drives
Dino
human
feathers,
evolution
a
forward.
full saber-tooth, faster and more agile than its heavier cousins. It is not a monster of raw power, but a finely tuned killing machine, and it has chosen its target. The clan's desperate flight ends at a familiar landmark below, weathered limestone outcrop, a chaotic jumble of boulders forming a shallow overhang. It is less a cave and more a scar in the earth, but it is home. They pour into the narrow opening, a frantic tide of foreign fear, tumbling over one another. The dominant male is the last one in, turning at the entrance to face the sun-bleached savanna, his chest heaving. The Dinophalus does not pursue them into the rocks. It halts 100 paces out, its head low, and watches. The hunt has become a siege. Hours crawl by. The sun arcs across the sky, and the heat inside the cramped shelter becomes suffocating. The air is thick with the scent of fierce, wet and dusty rock. Thirst, a quiet enemy, begins its work. The young ones are the first to suffer. Their whimpers growing weaker, their mouths dry. A mother licks the moisture from a cool stone and presses it to her infant's lips. A futile gesture of care. This is the brutal reality of prehistoric life. Safety from one threat immediately exposes them to another. Their knowledge of the terrain, their key survival skills, led them to this defensible position. But it is also a prison. Outside, the world has gone unnaturally still. The predator is a ghost, a patient terror. Sometimes they see it, a flicker of movement in the tall grass, a silhouette against the setting sun. Mostly, they feel it a weight on the air, an unseen gaze that pins them in place. The stark sexual dimorphism of their species is clear in the cramped space. The larger males sit near the entrance, a fragile barricade of flesh and bone, while the smaller females huddle deeper inside, shielding the young. This is a scene repeated across millennia of human evolution, the ancient division of roles born from biology and necessity. As dusk bleeds across the sky, painting it a bruised purple, a choice must be made. The water hole is a half-day's walk away, but their thirst is a more immediate killer than the cat. The dominant male looks at the others, his gaze is heavy, an unspoken question. To stay is to wither and die, to leave is to face the waiting teeth. This is the crucible of ancient humans. A younger, more gracile male, not a challenger, but swift and lean, meets his eyes. He gives a short, sharp nod. An older female, her own young one now grown, rises silently beside him. It is an act of pure altruism, a sacrifice for the collective. They cannot all risk the run. A small, fast party has the only chance. The plan is born of shared desperation and cognitive mapping, a memory of the landscape held in common. They will go under the cloak of near darkness, using a shallow ravine to hide their approach. The two chosen hominids drink the last of the waters stored in a hollowed-out gourd, a piece of primitive technology that is as vital as any stone tool. There are no farewells, only a shared, tense silence. They are the clan's hope, a fragile vessel sent out into a waiting ocean of darkness. As they slip out of the rock shelter and disappear into the gloom, those who remain can only listen to the sounds of the Pliocene night, praying they do not hear a final, terrible scream. The night is a listening thing, for the survivors huddled in the rock shelter. Every rustle of grass, every distant cry of a night bird, is the sound of the waiting cat. The two who left have been swallowed by the darkness, and the clan is suspended in a state of primal dread. Time stretches, measured in heartbeats. Then, a sound at the entrance, the scrape of a foot on stone. It is not the explosive rush of an attack. It is slow, labored. The young male stumbles into the faint moonlight filtering into the cave. He is alone. One arm is a mangled ruin of flesh and bone, and a deep gash runs from his shoulder to his ribs. But clutched in his good hand are two gourds, slick with water. He collapses, and the gourds roll across the dusty floor. For a moment, no one moves. They stare at the water, then at his wounds, then at the empty space where the old female should be. The truth needs no words. She bought him this time. This water, with her life, relief and grief are a bitter mix. A female takes the gourds and begins to carefully ration the precious liquid, giving the whimpering young a few life-saving sips before moving to the adults. The injured male is tended to, his wounds licked clean in a desperate attempt to stave off infection. He will be a liability, another mouth to feed who cannot forage. But the thought of abandoning him never arises. The community absorbs its wounded. It is how they endure. This brutal arithmetic of survival, where one life is exchanged for the water that will save 20, is the harsh reality of their world. Their continued existence is a testament to this constant, painful calculus, a cornerstone of hominid history. At dawn, the Dinofelis is gone, but its presence remains, a ghost that has poisoned their home. The rock shelter, once a bastion of safety, is now a tomb, a place of memory and fear. The dominant male looks out at the savannah, then back at his depleted, unwounded clan. Their cognitive mapping of this area is complete, and it includes a new, terrible landmark, the place where the old female was taken. They cannot stay. This patch of ancient earth is no longer tenable. The decision is silent, communal. They gather what little they have, a few sharp-edged stones, The empty gourds. The matriarch of the clan, a different old female whose face holds the memory of 100 seasons, takes the lead. She will guide them. She remembers another place. Seen long ago on a foraging trip, a series of higher caves set into a sheer cliff face, difficult to reach but offering a commanding view of the plains below. It is a long and dangerous journey into the unknown, leaving behind the only home this clan has ever known. They move out into the open, a small, limping band of refugees in a world of megafauna. Their vulnerability absolute. They are forever changed, not just by the loss, but by the knowledge it brought. They have learned the price of safety, and the memory is now a part of them, a scar on their collective soul. Their survival is not a climax. It is a single, trembling note in the immense, silent symphony of prehistory. In their new home, a wind-scoured cave high on a cliff, the clan recovers. The young male's arm will never heal properly, a permanent reminder of the cost. But they are alive. This harrowing encounter, one of thousands like it across the continent, is an evolutionary crucible. It is in these moments of terror and loss that the blueprint for our own species is forged. The fear of the unseen predator sharpens the mind, forcing the development of foresight and planning. The desperate need for cooperation strengthens the social bonds that are their only true weapon. The act of altruism, of sacrificing for the group, becomes an instinct as powerful as fear itself. We who have inherited this planet carry the echoes of that Pliocene siege in our own DNA. The vigilance of the watchmen on the termite mound, the shared knowledge that guided their escape, the communal care for the wounded, these are not just behaviors of ancient humans. They are the bedrock of our own humanity. The inheritance of scars passed down through a million generations from a time before humans called themselves by that name. The story of humanity is not written in stone, but in the spaces between the footprints of those who walked before. But the world does not stand still, and the prey is beginning to learn the secrets of the predator.